You don't care, do you? You'd let me bleed out for the money.
No.
Watch until the end to see who will have a harder time dealing with boredom inside of this empty, lifeless room. It actually seems easier than it looks. Today, we are reviewing a thriller drama movie from 2022 titled The Immaculate Room. Spoilers ahead, and let's dive right in. Dr. Voyan has come up with this intriguing experiment. He's offering a whopping $5 million to couples who can hang tight inside a super clean room for 50 days. But if one of them bails, the jackpot shrinks to just $1 million. And get this, folks, there's no outside communication or fun stuff to do. It's just the two of them, locked up together for 50 whole days. It doesn't sound as bad as it is on first hand, but I feel like I could do it easily. Meet today's pair, Mike and Kate. They're pretty confident this is a walk in the park for some pretty easy cash. Mike's feeling fortunate to have stumbled upon this opportunity, while Kate views it as their shot at redemption. However, she suggests splitting the winnings to lighten the load. Kate's all about investing for the future, but Mike's not thrilled with that idea. He's more about living it up, without a care in the world about finances. I have a realization that maybe they're not a good match for this challenge. Following the AI's rule recap, they take a look around and realize the term immaculate wasn't an exaggeration. It's all white, with just a bed, a bench, and a basic bathroom. The rules allow them to use the bathroom individually, and there's a red exit button if they want out, along with a touchscreen for treats, plus a big countdown clock above the exit door marking their experiment time. Their meals are formulated to meet their daily nutrition needs, consisting of a bland white shake served in a white carton. Additionally, the room features automatic lights that shift to indicate the time of day: morning, afternoon, evening, and bedtime when night falls. You can use the touchscreen to set an alarm clock, with Mike deciding for a leisurely approach, treating it like a vacation with late mornings, while Kate prefers an early alarm to maintain a sense of routine. On their first night, Mike attempts to initiate intimacy with Kate, but she expresses concern about potential surveillance by the professor. Despite her apprehension, they proceed discreetly under the covers. The following morning, Kate heads to the bathroom to reflect in the mirror and recite affirmations to maintain her morale and focus on her goals. After showering, they dispose of their clothes in the bathroom's laundry chute and receive plain pajamas in return, albeit with the same color, as part of the exchange. Why does this doctor care what a young couple does in their privacy? In an effort to occupy themselves, Kate speculates on Voyan's motives for conducting the experiment, prompting Mike to recount a documentary detailing a prior experiment by Voyan that resulted in a tragedy for a working-class family. The reasons behind Voyan's actions remain unknown. All that's certain is the substantial wealth and his penchant for placing individuals in extraordinary situations, driven by a fascination with human nature. Finding ways to pass the time becomes a challenge sooner than anticipated. While Kate enjoys meditation, Mike often finds himself fixated on the clock, occasionally delving into philosophical discussions on topics such as the symbolism of white or the proper toothbrushing technique, drawing from his art school background. Despite Kate's efforts to redirect his focus and maintain positivity, Mike's restless nights make it difficult. Maybe that's because he sleeps during the day. Kate persists with her routine of affirmations and tidying up, also making an effort to uplift Mike's mood. While Kate meditates, Mike does some physical activity, usually going for runs. Together, they engage in hand-clapping games, Marco Polo, and even dancing to stave off boredom. Each time they discard their soiled pajamas, they receive identical replacements. After several weeks, a change occurs. Mike discovers a bug that has managed to enter the room. Despite attempting to communicate with it in a childish manner, Mike endeavors to feed it some of their meal shake. However, the AI promptly interjects, reminding them that the food is strictly reserved for the contestants' consumption. Isn't the bug a contestant now since it entered the compartment? Following the insect's release, Mike asserts to Kate the significance of respecting all life forms, prompting Kate to accuse him of talking down to her due to her non-vegan lifestyle. As tensions escalate, Kate expresses her belief that Mike's veganism comes from a desire to antagonize his affluent father, who provided him with everything he wanted, thus shielding him from hardships. Consequently, she contends that Mike now wants to develop a rebellious, artsy persona associated with street art. Subsequently, Kate attempts to disengage from the conversation, but accidentally steps on the bug, leading Mike to question the sincerity of her apology and explanation regarding the incident being accidental. Mike sulks in a corner for the remainder of the day until he realizes that laying around in inactivity is bad for his well-being. Despite Kate's disapproval, Mike determines to request a treat, even if it means deducting $100,000 from their prize. Asserting his autonomy, Mike proceeds to select a single green crayon as his treat. Although seemingly insignificant, this crayon grants Mike the opportunity to express his creativity on the room's walls. I actually feel for her. Doing this challenge with him would be so stressful. After observing Mike's sketch for some time, Kate requests that he draw her, to which Mike agrees. However, he declines to create realistic portraits, deeming them dull. Instead, he insists on adhering to his distinctive style. This decision disappoints Kate, leading her to retract her willingness to pose. Mike continues drawing until the crayon is depleted, much to Kate's irritation, as he leaves green marks on the bathroom surfaces and the towel on the floor. Subsequently, Kate apologizes for her earlier behavior, acknowledging that the situation is more challenging than they expected. As time progresses, they continue to endure the monotony until one morning, Kate discovers a gun in the bathroom. Fearful to ascertain if it's loaded, they are unsettled by its presence and decide to conceal it beneath the bed, following the AI's rule against placing non-clothing items in the laundry chute. After a while, the couple is granted connection time, allowing them to view messages sent by their loved ones. Mike receives a message from his sister, updating him on their family's well-being, though she mistakenly believes he isn't dating Kate anymore. Despite Kate seeing Mike feeling joyous to see his sister, she declines to engage with her own messages. However, her unease intensifies when the screen displays a video of her father, who has transitioned from homelessness and is now residing in a shelter. The doctor is actually playing 4D chess. Unable to stop the never-ending video, Kate hides behind the bathroom entrance, overwhelmed with tears, while Mike rushes to comfort her. The following morning, Kate remains paralyzed by her depression, clinging to her boyfriend throughout the night. Disregarding the alarm, she remains in bed, trapped in her inactivity. When Mike expresses concern, Kate reveals the truth about her estranged father, confessing to years of lying to Mike regarding his absence and her shame surrounding his alcoholism, which led to the loss of her home, her education fees, and any appearance of a normal upbringing. As they approach the final stretch with just over 2 weeks remaining, Kate remains confined to bed while Mike endeavors to solve his boredom by experimenting with his drawing, smudging crayon lines with his fingers, and indulging in dramatic readings of the pajama label. Despite his attempts to lift her spirits with humor and encourage her to eat, Kate remains unresponsive, prompting Mike to join her in bed, hoping to provide comfort. However, his efforts prove futile, leading him to occasionally sleep on the floor in search of a change of scenery. One morning, he attempts to persuade Kate to indulge in a treat, but she adamantly refuses, unwilling to sacrifice any portion of their winning. Mike's frustration mounts as he expresses doubts about his ability to continue enduring the situation, prompting Kate to finally stir from bed. However, before she heads for the shower, she instructs Mike to claim his second treat, even if it means forfeiting $250,000. How are they so bipolar? I don't understand. Mike complies, and he's taken aback as the door swings open, welcoming a nude woman named Simone into the room. Unaware of the experiment, Simone reveals she's simply an actress hired for a job that involves signing numerous NDAs. Initially scheduled for a month, her agency indicated she'd likely only be staying for 24 hours. Kate expresses discomfort about Simone's arrival, and urges Mike to lend her his t-shirt to provide some modesty. Simone admires Mike's artwork, acknowledging its influences, much to Kate's further annoyance. As evening arrives, Mike suggests sleeping on the floor while the ladies take the bed, and Simone volunteers to stay awake during the rest. Kate finds their politeness irritating and insists they all share the bed, with her positioned in the middle. However, despite the arrangement, Kate struggles to fall asleep that night. When morning comes, Kate notices Simone's absence from the bed and assumes she's left, only discovers Simone in the bathroom. Feeling overwhelmed, Kate decides to indulge in a treat and receives a small box containing 3 playful candies. Kate eagerly takes one and offers another to Simone, while Mike hesitates before accepting one. The trio then proceeds to dance and frolic around the room, sharing a few group kisses. Maybe the most expensive candy ever bought. Yet, after some time, Mike starts experiencing a distressing episode, witnessing blood scattered around and imagining himself underwater with his younger brother. Despite the efforts of the women to snap Mike out of it, he remains in a state of panic, pleading to leave and mentioning something about Sean and drowning. Kate is forced to guide him back to bed and offer comfort until he eventually falls asleep. Later, Simone inquires about the conversation Mike had, prompting Kate to reveal the tragic incident involving Mike's younger brother, Sean, who drowned in their family pool while Mike was meant to be watching over him. This event continues to haunt Mike with feelings of guilt, especially considering he was under the influence when it occurred, which further complicates his emotions and clarifies his reluctance to accept the candy offered in this situation. When Mike awakens, Simone reveals her own past, sharing that she lost her mother at a young age. This shared experience of grief and loss brings Mike and Simone closer together as they bond over their shared pain. As Simone offers comfort by holding Mike's hand, Kate becomes alarmed, interpreting Simone's gesture as a potential threat to her relationship with Mike. Simone confronts Kate about her behavior, suggesting that Kate's outbursts originate from her own insecurities, sparking a heated argument between them. Mike intervenes, urging them to resolve their conflict before leaving. Kate attempts to apologize, acknowledging that her concerns may have been unfounded, but Simone worsens the situation by suggesting otherwise. I'm pretty sure this actress gets paid if they don't succeed in the challenge. The next morning, Mike isn't feeling well, but Kate seems preoccupied with other matters. When Simone leaves, a message in green crayon on the wall appears thanking Mike for the previous night. Kate becomes distressed, disregarding Mike's explanation that he didn't do anything and comparing it to the gun incident, an attempt by the room to manipulate them. In her fury, Kate shoves Mike to the floor, causing him to injure his head and bleed. Mike distances himself from Kate, emphasizing that he has always been faithful to her, even when she moved to New York. He mentions how he made sacrifices by distancing himself from his wealthy friends to avoid making her feel uncomfortable. Additionally, he put his college education on hold to support her during her bouts of depression. Despite these efforts, all he receives in return is jealousy from Kate. Tearfully, Kate continues to apologize, but their conversation is cut short when Mike starts feeling dizzy from his wound. They must be aware that the doctor is doing any means necessary for them to fail the challenge. Mike genuinely believes he requires medical attention, but Kate offers him some of the meal shake to boost his blood sugar and wraps his wound with a towel. She reminds Mike of the contract, stating that they aren't allowed any medical intervention. Mike is taken aback by this revelation, causing him to question Kate's level of concern. Although his wound is minor and stops bleeding eventually, he fears how Kate might have reacted if it had been more severe. He worries she may have prioritized the money over his well-being. Disgusted by the impact the experiment has had on them and recognizing that the money won't heal their inner turmoil, Mike chooses to leave, urging Kate to join him. However, Kate declines, highlighting Mike's privileged background and implying that it's simpler for him to make such a decision. She even retrieves the gun to persuade him into staying, but Mike disregards her actions and presses the button, exiting the room just days before the experiment's completion. I always knew he would be the first one to leave the challenge. After spending considerable time lying around and having emotional breakdowns, Kate notices a raindrop drawing on the wall, sparking her curiosity about the button and prompting her to contemplate her choices with just 2 days remaining. Several months later, Mike, now single, encounters Kate exiting a building while he's out for a run. Since their time in the room, they haven't crossed paths until now. They decide to take a walk to reconnect and exchange stories. However, when Mike asks about Kate's outcome in the experiment, she evades the question. I feel like she would have an easier time completing the challenge without him. Nevertheless, she extends an apology for the events that transpired. As they depart, it becomes apparent that the building they are leaving is a homeless shelter, adorned with a plaque commemorating an anonymous donation that funded the construction of a new kitchen. Meanwhile, in the pristine room, a fresh couple enters, ready to embark on the challenge. I always would have guessed that I would be so good at these challenges, but I never had in mind that I would have to do them with someone else, so that would probably make it harder. I feel like if these two were alone, the challenge would be easier for them. I rate this movie a 7 out of 10. What do you think? Looks like this movie pill is starting to wear off. But don't worry, there's always more where that came from. Tap here to keep the effects going with this next movie, because who can stop at just one? And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, because your next movie dose is just a click away.